Bingo Blitz rules.
If your bingo has ads in it,
That's not a bingo.
if it doesn't have the coolest tournaments, mini games, and the most breathtaking design,
Nope, not a bingo.
if your bingo moment makes you feel so excited that you just want to burst in joy and scream out loud, bingo! Sorry, so you're playing...
Bingo Blitz? Now that's a bingo. Discover a world of excitement with Bingo Blitz, the #1 free bingo game. Download Bingo Blitz and play for free.
Now that's a bingo.
What's up, everyone? It's Noah Daniels.
Hey y'all, I'm JJ.
Hey guys, it's Kat.
And we're your hosts of the Real Hauntings podcast, where we bring on guests to share their first-hand encounter ghost stories and supernatural experiences. Now on to the trailer.
I've been warned to not tell this story, but I think because of the way it ends, it's okay to tell this story, because some people say that with certain entities, to like speak of them or talk about them or in any way like portray them as powerful will attract them to other people. The creepiest thing about it to me is a lot of times it would wait for me to notice it. Like it would just lay its arm out like this, and then I'd be like, where is it? Where is it? And then I'd see it, and then it would just slither back.
For more information on the Real Hauntings, Real Ghost Stories podcast, make sure you check out real.fm to learn more about our podcast and many other amazing podcasts.
Hello. Oh, wait, hold on. That was a good ASMR. Let me start that over.
I need you to pump it really hard. A little too hard. I just want to hear the juices, not the plastic. There we go. Should I direct porn? Maybe.
Don't ruin the iconic lip gloss noise.
What is this?
Hi, everyone. Welcome to But Am I Wrong? Starring two people who, it's hard to say we've never been wrong considering I just said that little mama saying lip gloss and I was wrong. But that is the first time it's ever happened, and it never happens in the context of this podcast, even though that was in the context of this podcast. My name is Megan. What is your name?
My name's Melissa.
Hi, Melissa.
Hi. Hello. How are you?
Hello, it's me. We are so excited to bring you a brand new episode of this podcast where we tell you, listeners, if you were the hero or the villain in your story. We also talk about our own lives, our personal hot takes. And then finally, we have our final segment where we round it out with nominating the absolute worst of the week, who is the wrongest of the wrong, or on a list of many wrongs of wrongs. Mm-hmm. And one of the best parts of the podcast is that you all get to vote on who you think was wrong in each segment. So if you agree with us, you disagree with us. And then on our Friday episode, we read the results from the previous week. And sometimes we have follow-ups from people who are in the But Are You Wrong segment where people write in. Sometimes we just have people with their own opinions. Yeah. So our first segment, But Am I Wrong? Second segment, But Are You Wrong? Third segment, But Are They Wrong? I do feel like we should let people know that you can watch the video version on Patreon. And we also do live streams twice a month.
If you're watching the video version, you'll see that Megan does not have her frame TV on, that she was setting it up. She set it up earlier. And then when she realized we were just doing audio for See You Next Tuesday, she was like, oh my gosh, I'm going to turn this off. And I was like, light flex. And now we have the follow-up. If you listen on Tuesday, now you're listening now and you're like, or watching and you're like, why is the frame TV off? Well, I've been thinking this since we started. And then I was like, I'm going to bring it up now because, why not?
Thank you for reminding me to put it back on. It's on now. It is not crooked. I think it definitely looks crooked in the video. And that is because my computer is resting on a bunch of I'm on an ottoman that's it's just, it is straight.
If you line it up with the TV stand beneath it, you can see that's not crooked.
Okay, cool. I did realize the other day or yesterday when I was like pouring my water in my water bottle and I stepped back and was at a weird angle. I was like, our entire kitchen is slanted.
Mine is too. Well,
It's
as you know, the foundation. We're in LA. The trees, they planted trees that don't belong in places, and it just kind of messes up everybody's foundations.
Yep. And not that I think we should just tear all the trees down, but it's also illegal. So that's also part of the reason. I don't know who did this, if it was like the last owner or like the person who built the house, whatever. They literally planted a tree on top of our sewer line, like literally like right on top of it. And that was the one that we had to keep clearing out because the roots just naturally grow into it.
Yeah.
I was like, oh, that was not logical at all. So we also have to potentially apply for a permit to cut it down. Anyways.
All right.
You're lagging so much. I'm turning the frame off.
Okay.
Everybody go to the Patreon, look at it. I'm going to give you an extra second. Wow, that's so beautiful. So nice. So cool. And now it's going off.
All right. So this is But Am I Wrong? And this is when we either choose a hot take or something from our personal lives that we may or may not be wrong. And then the other of us that's not reading it will choose, and then y'all can vote later in the week. So here's my hot takes for the new year, for resolutions, etc. Some people may say spend less time on social media. I say spend more time on social media. I think it's good for building community. I think if you curate your algorithm or the list of people that you follow, that it opens up your eyes to a lot of things in the world. It can make you feel better about yourself. It can educate you about new things. It's all about how you, as a person, take the information and use it.
I would love to add on one thing that I wholeheartedly agree with that. People always talk about social media, like you just are comparing yourself to people. I'm like, you're following the wrong people. Follow people you want to be nothing like. Like it has the same effect.
Or people that you adore, like,
and you're happy for their successes.
Or something like that. Yes.
Exactly.
People that you're cheering for.
Yeah. People you're cheering for. And then people who you're like, you can follow people who make you feel better about your life. If social media is toxic, you have to out toxic social media.
Right. If it's toxic, that's because you've made social media toxic for yourself. You got to just change it. I learned so much. I quote things. I've helped save lives based on things that I found online. So
will you elaborate on that one?
No. Okay. Don't let people shame. I know that you're going to agree with this. Don't let people shame you for not reading books. Because people make resolutions. I'm going to read more books this year, blah, blah, blah. Who cares? I mean, if you want the books just to be an accessory where you just sit and you look like you bring a book to the beach, you sit and look like you're reading, so what? They can be decorations in your homes. We as a people, as a society, read more than people were reading years ago because we're constantly on screens and we have to read things all the time. So I feel like we're better off anyway.
Yeah, nobody who is like, oh, I'm not a big reader. Like, I feel like people think that they just then suddenly sit in dark rooms and don't do anything and are just like, oh, and it's like, that's not the only way that you can stretch your mind, better yourself, learn about things. Like, it doesn't have to be from a physical copy of a book. Like, people do other things as well.
Mm-hmm. This is for people that have a hard time saying no to things. Sign up for a marathon. Not to set some goal to prove something to yourself, but to give you an excuse to get out of things. So I can't go out to eat today because I'm fueling for my training. I can't hang out today because I'm going to the gym. I can't do whatever because I have to go to sleep and get up early to train. Doesn't matter what it is. You have an excuse to get out of anything. And then the day of the race, just say you have cramps or something. And then you sign up again because you want to prove that you can do it, and it's just cyclical.
Wow. And also it gives you an excuse anytime someone is like, do you want to go to Olive Garden? And you're like, I do.
Yeah. I need to carb load.
I need to carb load for my marathon. And then you can also just wear Band-Aids on your nipples all the time. Just be like, I'm protecting for the chafing. It's a very good idea. I do think it is kind of expensive to sign up though, right?
There's free ones. If there's a charity, you can be, because you get sponsors, and so you can be raising money for things. It's like it's a good way for people to Yeah, it's a good way for people to give you money to donate to something. They get a tax write-off, and then they don't necessarily have to feel bad.
Hold up.
Like,
are marathons just adult lapathons?
yes, if it's one that gets back to charities.
Yeah. I think we should get back to lapathons. Just
Yeah,
running
I mean,
in
the
circles.
children had one a few weeks ago, and I just wrote a check for each one of, well, I could pay online this year. And I was like, y'all don't have to do it if you don't want to. But they did it because they wanted to. I was like, I just wrote blank. Everybody got $30.
Oh, nice.
Mm-hmm.
I was not good at the running part of the lapathon.
Your knees turn inwards.
Yeah.
We're not all built for the same thing.
No, I'm certain. I'm built for impersonating Demi Lovato in Camp Rock. I am not built for running.
Yeah. We all have our things. Stop engaging with toxic people because you want to be nice or feel like you have an allegiance or an obligation to them. Fuck it and move on. I feel like possibly we wouldn't have a show if everybody enacted this, but
yeah, so don't enact it too hard.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're going to not enact it, throw some drama in there. Like, give us a good storyline, give us a good plot.
Yeah. Play more video games, and I mean like even just like Sims. I play Marvel Strike Force. Play more. It's good for your brain. It's good for your minds. And if somebody's like, oh, you're just childish or whatever, this is science. Science says that we need to be more interactive with things to help our brain juices flow. So whatever.
Yeah. Spend that energy keeping kids off of alt-right subreddits. That's let us play video games in peace.
I saw a post that said, I haven't seen any person say that 2023 is going to be their year. Great. I think we've all learned that you got to take this 1 second at a time. I'll probably go through like 20 different moods by the end of today while we're recording. And to be honest, like most resolutions are just something that capitalism is pumping into us anyway, so that you can go spend money at the gym, spend money on this diet, spend money to buy things for whatever your hobbies are. Fuck it. Fuck it. Fuck it. My resolutions this year, it's not really resolutions because I started enacting it this year, but it's to be more childish. I want to enjoy things that I enjoyed as a child. So I'm going to start taking gymnastics. I'm going to play golf. I'm going to play tennis. When you were a kid, you just did all these activities just to enjoy them. They weren't for a purpose other than enjoyment and learning a new skill and teamwork. I could care. Everything I named is an individual thing, so you don't really need a team, but fuck real resolutions and be more childish.
I'm with you on all of that. I have strong feelings about resolutions in the sense that, like, I think we should be self-reflecting, like, throughout the whole year. And if it's like holding a gun to your head, something you have to change about yourself, like if it's not something at the forefront of your mind and it's not something that you've like seen occur in your life that you do want to like make a difference and a change with, like, I just think like not fucking worth it. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like the same thing I feel about shopping, where it's like, I like to go shopping when I know what I want and I know what I'm looking for. But otherwise you just go shopping and you're like, I don't know, I'm here, maybe I'll buy something. And it's like, it's not going to be your new favorite item of clothing. It's not going to be the resolution that sticks in that.
As a podcast network, our first priority has always been audio and the stories we're able to share with you. But at Realm, we also sell some pretty cool merch, and organizing that was made both possible and easy with Shopify. When you think about successful businesses like Aloe or Allbirds or Skims, an often overlooked secret is the business behind the business that makes selling and, for shoppers, buying simple. For millions of businesses, that business is Shopify. That's because nobody does selling better than Shopify. It's the home of the #1 checkout on the planet. And the not-so-secret secret that's definitely worth talking about is that Shop Pay boosts conversions up to 50%. That's more happy customers and way more sales going. If you're hoping to grow your business, your commerce platform better be ready to sell wherever your customers are scrolling or strolling, on the web, in your store, in their feed, and everywhere in between. Businesses that sell more, sell on Shopify. Upgrade your business and get the same checkout we use with Shopify. Sign up for your $1 per month trial period at shopify.com/realm, all lowercase. Go to shopify.com/realm to upgrade your selling today. Shopify.com/realm.
Sense. And I like, setting goals as they are relevant to my life.
Right. And that should be, again, something you do all year long. And then finally, a resolution that we can all stick by is people put your toilet seat down when you flush. This is something that I feel very strongly about. For some reason, recently, there's been a lot of videos that have been coming up in my life where I'm seeing when people don't put their toilet seats down, how many juices are splashing. I thought we all knew this. I remember when I was a child and there was a 2020 report on this. And I thought this is something that we all knew. But apparently it's not. When you don't close the toilet after you use the bathroom and you flush, it shoots up to 6 feet, both up and down and like horizontally and vertically in a circle in the sphere. Like you're shooting piss and shit particles everywhere when you don't put the toilet seat down. And then if you don't have your toothbrush covered, you're just putting that into your mouth. Whenever you open something from your cabinet, you're touching it and grabbing it and pulling it out. Like any surface that you touch in your bath, when you're sitting there washing your face and you put like your towel down on the sink and you pick it up and you dry your face off, you're just smashing piss and shit into your face. And so put your toilet seats down in 2023.
That was the same energy as sucking dick and cock. But there was this TikTok that like went viral, like went around that was like doing a science experiment test. Like, what should you do with that? And it was like, yeah, you should. And I commented on it and I was like, what did people think the lid was for? And all these people are like, to like sit on afterwards. Like your pets don't get like drink the water. I'm like, what? Like, what the fuck? Like, And if you think of like the old, like original toilets that aren't flushing, there's a reason why there's a large drop while like for where your shit's going, your literal shit is going. It's a large drop. And I just can't even fathom it. And like the toothbrush thing, like our last place, our bathroom, like our toilet was like in our primary bathroom. Was like we had a toilet little room, and then the rest you can shut the door, very nice in that sense. And that even gave me a large.
Hi, this is Rob Benedict.
And I am Richard Spate. We were both on a little show you might know called Supernatural.
It had a pretty good run, 15 seasons, 327 episodes.
And though we have seen, of course, every episode many times, we figured, hey, now that we're wrapped, let's watch it all again.
And we can't do that alone. So we're inviting the cast and crew that made the show along for the ride. We've got writers, producers, composers, directors, and we'll of course have some actors on as well, including some certain guys that played some certain pretty iconic brothers.
It was kind of a little bit of a left field choice in the best way possible.
The note from Kripke was, he's great, we love him, but we're looking for like a really intelligent Duchovny type.
With 15 seasons to explore, it's going to be the road trip of several lifetimes. So please join us and subscribe to Supernatural then and now.
Your peace of mind, but
disgusting. All right, it's your turn.
So my hot take is against big quicksand. Somebody somewhere made quicksand out to be a peril, a obstacle that we were going to have to face in our daily life. And I would like a back pay in compensation for the anxiety and the trauma that I have endured through my entire childhood, thinking that one day me or someone that I loved, it was inevitable that they were going to be essentially swallowed by the earth. Or the fact that I have had to log in my brain how to get out of quicksand when I couldn't pass tests in math. You think that maybe if I hadn't had so much fucking brain power absorbed by trying not to get killed by quicksand, I would have stayed in college. I would have gotten a degree. Maybe I would be a rocket scientist. Like this plagued me my whole life and might honestly be the cause of my initial anxiety. Like, I just think that whoever came up with this, like, you're fucked up in the head. And I just want to talk about this because I Googled how many people have died by quicksand. No, I Googled how many quicksand deaths per year. And it is basically impossible to die by quicksand in the way that it has been depicted in movies and how we've talked about it. It's because it's denser than the human body, so you can get stuck in it, but you don't get sucked down to the bottom. You float to the surface. Our legs are, this is from Britannica, our legs are pretty dense, so they may sink, but the torso contains the lungs and thus is buoyant enough to stay out of trouble. So physicists have calculated that the force required to extract your foot from quicksand at a rate of 1 centimeter per second is roughly equal to the force needed to lift a medium-sized car. That seems scary. One genuine danger is the person who's immobilized in quicksand could be engulfed and drowned by the incoming tide. So there you go. That makes a little more sense. But this is not to say that like people haven't died from quicksand, but it's where the quicksand is located. It's all these other extenuating circumstances. But someone on Quora, which you know is obviously fact verified, that they were like, I think this is just what people told kids to prevent them from trespassing. That they were like, at any moment you could be sucked into quicksand. And even Googling quicksand, it's like there's thousands of videos of people being like, how to get out of quicksand, a quicksand tutorial, like all of these things. And I just want to know who is reaping the financial benefits of the fear mongering of quicksand.
All the 80s, 90s, and early 2000s movies made it seem like this is something that we were going to encounter in everyday life. I saw a video of some people that like were just getting in it for fun. And as long as you keep your little feet moving, you don't sink. And even when you do sink, it's so slow, like you can't get stuck in it. Like it's a tourist attraction in some places.
It's just like, I thought that I was going to have, first of all, I thought I was going to have to cross a bridge with a bridge toll and solve a riddle to go to work every day. And I also thought that I was going to have to be like, I can't go around this quicksand. I have to go through it. Like, I thought that this was going to be a daily occurrence. You want to go to Target? You got to pass some quicksand. And you know what they did not tell us about, which I think that they distracted us with quicksand because they didn't want us to know about sinkholes. Sinkholes are fucking scary and deadly and common and horrific. And I don't know who's on the quicksand payroll, but they are somehow financially benefiting from us not knowing that the real villain here is sinkholes.
You're right. The Council of Quicksand, they have it out.
They need to report for their crimes.
It's kind of disappeared from media at this point. So I feel like somebody did knock down the council at some point in the last maybe 10, 15 years.
I would like to talk to those people as well.
Yeah. Maybe they can help out. They can help take down Big Milk, Big Printer.
We need to get Big Kale on the case.
Yeah. Gotta call her up.
I just remember going to the beach as a kid and like, especially at night, just being riddled with fear that I was like walking back to the car and I was like, I'm going to get sucked up by quicksand. And then the second that I reached any sort of like tacky, kind of sticky mud, I was like, I'm a goner. This is it.
Yeah. Yeah. I remember when I lived in Texas going to Galveston Beach, which is disgusting. It's like black, but not in the way that's like black sand. It's just filth. And it looked like what quicksand had been depicted at. And I was like, yeah, that's what it is. This is terrifying.
This is where I die. So, fuck you, big quicksand. And I also would really like to know if anybody has actually encountered quicksand in their personal life.
And you didn't go to it like as a tourist attraction?
I mean, I would even like to know if you went to it as a tourist attraction because...
Okay.
But I would like to know if you've ever encountered it. But there's no shot that anyone's ever encountered it in the wild.
Yeah. All right. So let's take a break.
Woo!
We're back, and now it's time for But Are You Wrong? And that's when y'all write into butamiwrongpod@gmail.com and share situations that you might have been right or wrong. Please keep it to 300 words or less. And if not, you'll get an email back saying, tighten this shit up.
Make it right, make it twite.
I like that. Here we go. Writer number 1. Hi, Meghan and Melissa. I've been listening to the podcast since the beginning and want to thank you for truly being my biggest role models through my teens. Well, thank you.
How'd you turn out?
I guess as I finish reading, we'll get a little insight. I, 22, she, her, have been with my boyfriend, 23, he, him, for a little over 2 years now, and I'm wondering if I'm wrong for not going to his mom's birthday dinner. We both live at home, and so I eat dinner with him and his family quite often. Recently, I've tagged along for a couple dinners out. His dad has made a point of separating my bill from theirs each time, which makes sense, but adds to this feeling that I'm overstepping. I have always been insecure about whether I spend too much time at their house, 1 to 2 times a week, and if they like me. Recently, my boyfriend's dad asked him to make a reservation at this expensive restaurant for his mom's 60th birthday. My initial thought was that this would not be a dinner I'm invited to, since it's a special occasion including his mom's 2 sisters and I'm not family. However, my boyfriend and his dad both assumed I would be coming. When asked, I was surprised and said that I wasn't sure because I have an exam the next day. This is true, but not the real reason why I said no. His mom was not there for me to ask, and I feel awkward bringing it up now. For context, I do not have a good relationship with my mom or stepmother and struggle with anxiety, depression, and beliefs that I'm a burden. Was I right to exclude myself from the dinner so it could be just family? Or is my judgment being clouded by my insecurities and declining is rude, disappointing? Am I wrong for not going? I would say you're wrong if you just assumed that you should go, but you were actually invited. And since you're invited, then it might have been a little bit rude to say no, but also you have your own trauma that gives you a reason to feel like a burden. And so were you wrong for saying no? Not necessarily, but I understand that you had an excuse and you felt like a burden, but because you're invited, I just feel like it might have been a little bit rude, especially if you've gone to dinners before where it was just regular dinners and not anything to celebrate somebody's birthday.
This might just be, I mean, I can definitely say that this is probably like my own like life experience in the in-between or coming to this is that like, I would feel a little weird that like I'm being invited to go out to dinner with like boyfriend's family over like regularly, and I'm being invited to like existing plans, and then like they're separating my check, and then I'm assuming they're paying for their kids too. That would just make me feel a little weird, unless it was like, oh, we're all going to go out to dinner, we're all like paying our own way, we're doing whatever, blah blah blah, like you and your boyfriend are like, you're splitting your half, they're splitting their half. But if it's like just individually you, that to me is just kind of gives like the uncomfortable, I'm crashing someone's I'm in middle school and I'm at my friend's house for dinner, and I feel like it's like, oh, well, we didn't know you were staying, let's scrounge up something else. It just if it was onto added plans, I could totally see how that might add on to your previous mom issues, stepmom issues. Like I could totally see how that would compile and then make it feel like, oh, wow, I kind of feel like a burden here. But also at the same time, I think it just really depends on what your relationship is. So like if it's like, oh, we all want to go, you can afford to go to dinner, spend money to like for yourself for dinner, and you like want to go, and this was something.
With something like 5 million podcasts, finding a really good one can take a ton of time. So let me recommend one. It's called Something You Should Know. I'm the host, Mike Carruthers, and in each episode, we discuss topics that can be really helpful, like how to read people better, the psychology of crowds, or fun things like the story of Legos, or why you probably wouldn't be here if it weren't for horses. Something You Should Know is the name of it, wherever you get your podcasts.
That you all decided you want to do together. That I think is totally like that. Like, yeah, like everyone pay their way, whatever that is. But I think like I wouldn't have assumed. I think the fact that you assumed that you weren't invited to like him asking you to make reservations, I probably would have assumed I wasn't invited either, because I think it's weirder. Like you said, I think it'd be weirder to assume you were invited if that wasn't how like the conversation sounded like. But I don't know. I don't think that there's like any kind of way you could have won in the situation, because I think it would have also probably been weird if you asked the mom, like, are you sure? Like, do you want me to go? Because like, what can she say? Like, she can only like really say yes. So that's hard, especially when it comes to anxiety. Like I find it really hard with the things that I can't just like ask direct questions about, which helps quell my anxiety. Like I have to like pick up on like social cues and nuances. And I was like, well, I'm not a fucking reliable narrator. Like that's where my anxiety brain comes in. And this seems like one of those. And then I also think even asking your boy, like he'll be, oh no, everything's great. Like, don't worry about it or whatever it is. But I do think that, you know, when you have your own baggage with your own like personal shit, that can cloud your judgment. But I also think it kind of gives you like a cheat sheet for red flags. So I wouldn't go so far to ignore it and assume every other interaction that you have is not people making you feel like you're being excluded or you're being a burden or whatever that is. Like I wouldn't use that as your default kind of assumption, but I also wouldn't overcorrect to the point where like you are putting yourself in situations that you don't feel comfortable in because you're telling yourself that like it's all in your head, that people are feeling like they shouldn't make you feel like that in general. And they might not be making you feel like that. But I do think that like whether you feel it because they're doing it or because your brain is doing that to you, I think that you should be in situations that you're enjoying, and you shouldn't just force it if you're feeling like a burden. So I don't know. I guess depending on how close I was with them, I probably would have like done the same. I've been like, oh no, just family. I'll step out, and unless someone like really insisted and like made it really clear that they wanted me there, I don't think you're wrong for that part.
All right, your turn.
Okay. I'm 28, she, her. My friend, 28, she, her, had her third born son on my birthday last year. About 2.5 months ago, she expressed wanting to have a separate party for him with all of our friends, as her and her husband's family would be in town for his birthday weekend, and she was concerned about being overwhelmed with that many people. She also expressed how she'd like to celebrate me since we had the same birthday. I expressed that wasn't necessary, but I would love to attend to celebrate her son. Since then, we have had 2 conversations where she asked my opinion on what day would make sense given everyone's schedules. We've also discussed how this party was fully intended as an alternative way for us to celebrate her son and in no way about me. Last week, she mistakenly texted our group chat with an invitation to what apparently is my surprise party. Upon receiving this text, I texted her and said that I was not comfortable with this and that I have other conflicting plans that day that don't allow me to attend the entire duration of the event. She immediately backtracked and said it'll just be a laid back hang and that she'd love to see me for however long I'm able to come by, but that she, quote, she'd rather have the focus be on me since her son won't even remember, despite me stating that I am not comfortable, nor do I want a party. I then reiterated these feelings to her, and she said she understood. Since then, I have learned that she has not texted the remaining invitees to correct the invitation. I've also learned she's left out other close friends of mine. Am I wrong for being frustrated and considering not even attending? If you attend, like, no. This surprise parties are like engagements. You need to know that the person you're throwing a surprise party for likes surprises, A, would like a surprise party, and is either knows a little bit of about what's going on and is going to be like an excited anticipation. Is it not? Like, am I reading too much into it? Or you need to perfectly craft this in a way where you aren't like hurting their feelings to mislead them that it's not going to happen, but that they are going to show up to the surprise party and have the time, the energy, the capacity to do it. Like, I only think surprise parties work when you're telling someone you're going to do something that requires like the same amount of glam, prep, like mental conversation and like social level. Like, it's not like, oh, come over, we're just like going to do, I got to go to the DMV. And then you arrive and it's a surprise party. No. Like, and you don't even check the first box, which is someone who wants a surprise party. Don't go.
Yeah, I'm a control freak and I hate surprise parties.
You are?
Wow, Megan. Wow. I've uncovered 2 surprise parties that have been planned for me. I'm also a snoop, which you might not know, and I can tell when people are acting weird around me. and I know something's up. And so I would be mad about this, especially when you said you didn't want, like, she's specifically going against your wishes. You said you didn't want to do anything on these days. It'd be one thing you're like, oh, you know, I want to do something, but I don't want to step on your sons, blah, blah, blah. Like, I get that. But, and then they're like, surprise, it's actually your party night then. That would be a totally different story. But you've explicitly said that you don't want to do this. So you are not wrong. I would be mad. It seems like they're still going to have a party regardless if you're there or not. If you want to go, cool. If you don't want to go, which you don't go. Like, you don't need to go anywhere. Just do whatever your other plans are and don't try to rush anything. And, you know, let her know that you appreciate her caring, but like you're caring too much and not caring about my actual wishes, but in a nice way.
Yeah, like, it's not a kind gesture if it's not a gesture you want. And so, like, you don't owe her shit about going of like, oh, well, she planned all of this and, like, you know, she really, like, whatever. It's like, no, I mean, she did a shitty job. She didn't, like, even invite all of your friends and also, like, didn't respect your wishes. And so I'm like, why would I thank you for a shitty thing you did that you can mask as a good gesture in your head?
Yeah, it sounds like that she's doing it more for her than she is for you. And I have one of my best friends, Sarah, her son's birthday is the day after mine. And I would go up to where she lived for my birthday for like 3 or 4 years. And like, I didn't want like a lot to go happen for my birthday for that, because I was like, he's a kid. He's going to enjoy this. Like, I enjoy my birthday, but he's going to enjoy this way more. But she always like did things just with me separately. And I was like, this is cool. These are things that I enjoy. We'd go get a foot massage or something and she'd have like a separate cake for me and things. But like, I just wanted to not be in LA. So that was what my birthday was. But, you know, people that understand you and get what you actually want.
Yeah. I'm like very against this inferring things into people's words and what they say, as opposed to just like, I'm here to take people at face value. Like, if you tell me you like something, I'm going to think that you like it. If you're playing a mind game with me, I am not participating. And like, you're just going to have to go with like the obvious. And so, yeah, fuck this. Don't go. You would not be wrong at all.
All right. Writer number 3. Hi, Meghan and Melissa. This one isn't about a relationship, rather social media. I recently made a TikTok about how I found it weird that Brody Jenner said on national television that he got a half chub after seeing his, at the time, stepsister, Kim Kardashian, in a bathing suit or in a bikini. It has had a substantial amount of views and likes, but now over half the comments are telling me it's not weird and writing a lot of comments. I'm so confused. Please tell me if I'm wrong. P.S. I admire you both so much and have been a fan since the start. I feel like I've grown so much by learning from and with you both. Thank you. Thank you for your kind words. No, you're not wrong, because Brody Jenner's what, like 40? How old is this man?
Well, so is she.
I know, but I'm going to say why I'm saying this specifically.
I still think, I just want everyone to know that that was not me disputing that it's weird. I have thoughts on this that are actually so timely that like a conversation Mott's and I had yesterday.
39. Why is a 39-year-old man talking about half chubs? Like, you're a grown-ass man. Why are you saying the inside thoughts outside? How old were they when? So he was like 11, 12 when Caitlyn and Chris got married. So he was he probably at that point didn't really consider her a sibling, and so didn't see it as something gross, but it is gross. Like, y'all have blood related siblings together too. And so as a kid, okay, you know, you have this hot older person maybe, but like still disgusting, and you don't quite understand the sibling dynamics. But you're 39 years old. Why are you saying this out loud? It's gross. Like, it's really gross. And I'm guessing the people that are disputing you are people that have these same thoughts about their step siblings. don't see anything wrong with it. I mean, as I've mentioned before, this is like on porn websites, this is like it's the top category is people having relations with their step family members. So this is something that is constantly thought about. But if you have those thoughts, keep them to yourselves at your big ass age.
Not every thought needs to be an outside thought.
Mm-mm.
Like, I also think everyone defending it is probably the repeat viewers of that porn. Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, this is like, no, gross. And also, if I'm not mistaken, Chris had like, they would see the edit before it came out. And so the fact that nobody was like, hey, like, wasn't it because it was on Keeping Up with the Kardashians? I'm assuming that it was on Keeping Up with the Kardashians.
Or the new show that's on Hulu.
Regardless, I think in both cases, I know currently, but I'm pretty sure in Keeping Up with the Kardashians, they also got to see the edit first. So, like, the fact that, like, nobody protected, like, the fact that, or not even protected, the fact that this was so normalized makes me go, ew, what weird things weren't said on air? Like, that's so, like, yucky, and, like, how the dynamic is. Like, that's just, someone should have corrected you. An adult who, like, was, you know, if this was, like, a thought you had when you were younger, like, someone should have corrected you pretty early on, and like, so you understood this, and so you weren't being a fully grown adult saying those, like, that shit. And it reminds me of last night. Mott's and I were watching Friends, and it was the episode where Denise Richards is the cameo. She plays Ross and Monica's cousin. And I told Mott's, I was like, I just need people to understand. I need writers to understand that incest is not a storyline on a 30-minute sitcom. It's literally just not. Like, the fact that I was like, so he goes on to, like, have a child with Rachel, and, like, we ship them at the end. I go, we should have, if I was Rachel, I'd been like, you tried to kiss your fucking cousin? No, like, never, like, I am done with you. And we are just supposed to move on for the next episode. There's just a new little bit there. And I think what happened is, in the writer's room, is someone was probably like, and they go, well, I'm like, I wouldn't kiss my cousin, but hey, my cousin's not Denise Richards. It's like, ew.
But kissing cousins is a saying. Like, I don't think it was, like, frowned upon until, I think it's a newer thing that's being frowned upon. I mean, there's been presidents that have married their cousins. So, but
even in how it's like done in the show, where it's just like, ah ha ha, like, it's the punchline of it is that, like, it's like, people are thinking it's weird, but then other people are not thinking. Like,
it's a thing of, like, this was normal, and then it got to the point where this isn't normal, so we're gonna laugh about it now. And now it's just like, I can't even say that's completely disgusting, because, again, a lot of people are still into it. So, Ryder, you're not wrong, but and I did want to touch upon the part, maybe not touch upon, it's not the right word to use in this instance, but allegedly, according to Ray J, Chris was the one that reviewed and edited the sex tape and put it out to the masses. So, if that is true, then what Chris is reviewing edits for whatever the new Kardashian show is called, I don't think she cares that much, as long as it's going to build buzz and make headlines.
I have to assume it was also the older show, because they weren't step siblings. They're not step siblings currently. They were then.
Right.
So I assume it was, but I still think she had editing thing. What's Brandy's relationship with Ray J?
They're close.
Okay. So here's the thing. That makes me think, okay, well, it's by proxy. Like, I trust or distrust people by proxy, and if you and Brandy are still close, I mean, you could be lying. You could not be lying. I just think that the person who looks the worst here is Brody. And I would be mortified, especially, like, I'm pretty sure, like, he's married with, like, kids now. Like, if I was his wife, like, I would be like, that's just like so embarrassing.
Also, this is old.
That's what
I just typed it in, and it said, this is an article from 2014, and it says, on E! News, and it says, Brody Jenner clarifies controversial joke about Kim Kardashian. I just wanted to give people a good laugh. He was 33 when he made that statement. It's still disgusting. So it was on the old show.
disgusting. And I also I think if you're an adult and you want to joke about something that's like, you know, like just like kind of icky or whatever that is, like do it on your own time. Don't do it on national TV, and also don't do it when you have younger siblings who are there watching you and then paying attention to like your dynamics and like what's okay. Like that's like, I really don't like that, because the Kendall and Kylie were younger than that. And that's their blood sibling. And like, they're the ones in between. And look at me defending Kendall and Kylie. But like, that's no. Don't confuse the children.
Yeah. All right. Well, next.
Okay. Hi, Meghan and Melissa. I, 21, she, her, live in a very cold and snowy area. This week, we had a snowstorm that accumulated to about 19 inches. Holy shit. I live in an apartment complex and spend my morning watching the snow when I noticed 2 individuals were shoveling their car out. However, they were putting all of the snow from their car in front and behind the car next to them. The car next to them was parked in handicap parking. Essentially, they were blocking in this car more than it already was, making it nearly impossible for them to get out. Am I wrong for reporting them to the apartment complex for this? It felt very ableist whether they intended it or not. Side note, I asked some friends and they said I should have tried talking to them first, which looking back, I can see how I was wrong for not confronting them myself. However, I am not confrontational and felt more comfortable going directly to the apartment complex. This feels like a fucking intro to how this person ended up in the bad place. Like, swear to God, like you could have this is Eleanor Shellstrop. Like this would have been in the montage of like, why did I end up in the bad place? Even like the being in a handicap parking spot adds on another level. But like, even if it wasn't that, like that's a fucking dick move.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And as far as your friends saying talking to them, you never know how people are going to react. You don't know if you're actually safe in that situation. I have a question. Are your friends people that identify as men? Because they have a lot more, ways to feel safe in situations like this. Because I personally wouldn't feel safe saying anything. And so I think you did the right thing.
I wholeheartedly agree. This is similar to how I feel about like road rage, where it's just like, you have no power and you're not safe in that. That person knows your car. They know your license plate, all of that shit.
They know where you live.
These people know where you live. And so like, that's not okay. Like that is nowhere. I am a confrontational person and I'm not going to be the kind of confrontational I would with someone who I like share walls with or who knows where I live. Like that's just a safety thing. That's not a non-confrontational thing. And I would assume that those people are, I would wonder if they are men or sheltered and somewhat delusional about safety. So.
All right. We're going to take another break.
Woo! We are back for our final segment, but are they wrong? Where we each nominate the absolute woat of the week, the Rachel of the week, and we publicly shame them on our podcast because that's what podcasts are for.
That's what they deserve. So my pick for this week is Representative-elect George Santos of New York. So the New York Times did a piece, an expose, if you will, about this man. He was elected recently in the midterms and flipped a blue district in New York to red. Well, he lied about pretty much everything in his life. He lied about the jobs he had. He said that he worked at Goldman Sachs and Citigroup. Never did. He said that he graduated from, and I apologize if I'm not pronouncing this right, Baruch College. They have no record of him graduating. He said that he had an animal rescue group called Friends of Pets United, which he claimed he was tax exempt from. IRS has no record of this. He says that he had a company called DeVolder, a family firm that manages $80 million in assets, yet there are no clients. He also said in a WNYC interview that he lost 4 employees at the Pulse nightclub shooting in 2016. After the New York Times reviewed the obituaries, none of the 49 victims worked at this allegedly fake company. When he was 19, he stole a checkbook of a man that his mother was caring for and made fraudulent purchases, including shoes. He confessed and was charged for the crime, and he's still wanted in Brazil because he just left. This man also attended the January 6th speech for Donald Trump, so he's also a election denier. So his team, his lawyer, released a statement on his Twitter, and it says, George Santos represents the kind of progress that the left is so threatened by. A gay Latino, first-generation American and Republican who won a Biden district in overwhelming fashion by showing everyday voters that there is a better option than the broken promises and failed policies of the Democratic Party. After 4 years in the public eye and on the verge of being sworn in as a member of the Republican-led 118th Congress, the New York Times launches this shotgun blast of attacks. It's no surprise that Congressman-elect Santos has enemies at the New York Times who are attempting to smear his good name with these defamatory allegations. As Winston Churchill famously said, you have enemies? Good. It means that you stood up for something sometime in your life. Joseph Murray, ESQ. Well, so he didn't deny anything, that none of this was true, which is telling of itself. Also, that quote isn't from Winston Churchill. I mean, he might have said that, but it's from Victor Hugo that wrote The Hunchback of Notre Dame, according to PolitiFacts. So, I mean, obviously, why this is the Rachel of the Week, in my opinion, because he's just a liar that has been elected. And you know what? The Republican Party probably won't do anything about this because they want to hold on to the lead as majority in the House of Representatives. But everything he did is a lie.
That is insane.
Yeah.
Like, it just kept getting worse and worse and worse. Mm-hmm. The Pulse nightclub thing, I would really love for them to address, like, you know, if you have enemies, you're doing something right. So tell us how lying about that, tell us how that, what you're doing right there.
Mm-hmm.
Explain that.
Lying about everything. So to you, lying about your whole life, your whole career, about innocent deaths, that's doing something about having an animal.
Yeah. Show me who benefited. Show me what the good that came out of that was.
You have a fake business that you have no clients for, but somehow you're managing $80 million. All this is a lie, and you got elected on a lie. Where, like, I'm sure the Republicans really felt like they were checking off a few boxes of, like, we don't hate gay people. We don't hate minorities. Like, look at him. He's been elected. Mm-hmm. This is what y'all want to stand for? Okay.
Sir, at this point, just be like, you know, you kind of did a favor in the sense of, like, look how ridiculous and how horrific you can be while still getting elected. Look how you can lie, scam, cheat, and do it in ways that, like, regardless of your political party, you would find egregious and also pointless. The jig is up. You did it. Now go to Brazil and do your sentence for whichever whatever it is that they want you there for. Like unless it's they're there and they're trying to pull I'm not entirely sure of the policing or criminal justice system there. So I would hope it's for your actual crimes, not for who you are. Mm-hmm. So, like, this is just like, you did it. Now you can't actually do it, but you did it. Right. But dude. Melissa, this is insane.
Right.
Like, Anna Delvey? Like, do you think this means Anna Delvey's gonna, like, run for president or something? Like,
I mean, she's not American, so but
so lie. Say that you are.
But she could run for another position that's, you know, not president. Because you don't have to be president to be governor. I mean, you don't have to be, like, a natural born citizen to be governor.
Oh yeah. What's it called?
When you've you've become a citizen, but you're just not a natural born citizen. Like Arnold Schwarzenegger. He was your governor at one point.
I'll be back. Yeah, we called him the governor. We called him the governor.
The governor. It was a national-wide term. Everyone knew about it.
Oh, okay. That is unhinged. And like, really, I just think that like with that level of detail-oriented, like being that detail-oriented, being that committed to the bit, being able to like just go through and do all of these things, like I think your skills and your talent are absolutely being wasted by being a opportunistic bigot. Like, and I just think like you should come together with the man who created Firefest and Anna Delvey, and you should do an MTV reality show, or you should make the new Oceans movie, and that should be a part of your restorative justice for paying for the crimes that you have caused. Like, I don't need you to sit in a jail cell. I think you should contribute to society in a way that will prevent you from being a repeat offender
or getting reelected.
Exactly. Yeah, I think the restorative justice here is you should be tasked to write a heist movie or an elaborate lie or the next what's that called? That movie with Leonardo DiCaprio where he lies and it's like
Catch Me If You Can. Yeah.
Yes, but then there's another one.
Oh, because with that one, because that was based on a true story, and he became like an FBI agent or something. I forgot, CIA something. I forgot what it is.
Or Molly's Game started a whole but the other, it's not Walter Mitty. That's like a fucking wholesome movie. It's Gwyneth Paltrow, Leonardo DiCaprio. It's really good. It's a guy. It's Name, The Talented Mr. Ripley.
The Talented Mr. Ripley. Yeah,
like that is what you should be using all of this
your powers
conniving, lying energy for. Entertainment, blockbuster hits, not political gain.
Right.
What that's wild. They should study his brain for science. Like that's.
But he had to have also people working with him to corroborate this. And since he flipped a district, I'm sure the Republican Party knew about this because they were probably gunning for him to get this position.
Yeah, but that just means that you've got all these other people who like you have to then hire people who are at the same level of like keeping up with these lies as you. Like you should all be studied and like you should all probably be on a list, like a watch list.
Yeah.
Oh, fuck? Okay. Well, wait, so you said the New York Times was the one who did?
I'm sure. I think I know. Yep. I think I know where you're going next, if that's what you're asking.
So good on the Times for that. Not so good on the Times for this. So I don't know if anyone saw the day that we're recording this. This is the second day of Hanukkah. But yesterday, which was the 19th, was the first day of Hanukkah. And the New York Times had their crossword puzzle that they released. And it was in the shape of a swastika, which any day of the year, anti-Semitic, horrible, awful, shitty. On the first night of Hanukkah is like anti-Semitic squared. It seems even more targeted. It seems like the celebration of your yearly anti-Semitism. This is your event to shine. Like, so this has like literally been fact checked by Snopes. I saw this first on Twitter, and the context that was provided that is listed in Snopes by email, a spokesperson for the New York Times said, "This is a common crossword design. Many open grids and crosswords have a similar spiral pattern because of the rules around rotational symmetry and black squares." First of all, I need you to not with the word salad about your answer to this. Like, rotational symmetry and black squares. If this was like so common and like, there's a difference between something being a common occurrence and being offensive and something of like, well, our hands were tied. There's only so many ways that we can do the crossword puzzle. And here's what I think. I think if you're switching up how they look, you got the, I know you have black squares. You got to position them in all those places. If you are trying to find a new design or rotate between designs and the one you're doing is like, it looks a little much too like last week's, it's either between that and one that looks like a swastika. Just make it look like the previous week's. Just make it look like any other one.
Who cares?
Nobody.
You're not doing the crossword puzzle for what it looks like. You're doing it for the answers. And the thing is, this is the third time it's happened in recent years.
Exactly. And if you're trying to do this for aesthetics, I'm just going to say right now, a swastika is not so cute. That's not so cute for the aesthetic at all, especially, and I just want to clarify, like, so that the swastika was a different symbol that was taken by Hitler. And so there are in other cultures, but this is the New York Times.
Yeah.
This is New York. New York has one of the highest, I think it might even have the highest population of Jewish people in the entire United States, but it is high. If it's not one, it's number 2, or I guess East Coast, but
it's New York. Second largest religion practice in New York City. Yeah, it's New York.
Yeah. Like,
I think actually in the world.
So the crossword puzzle editor is Will Shortz. And so he was played the puzzle master on Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Oh, yeah.
Yep. So he is the editor of the New York Times crossword puzzle. And he said that the puzzle simply, quote unquote, started this grid in the middle and worked its way out. Again, people are now just telling us how to design a swastika as the reason why it's not shaped like a swastika. Like, it's just so wild to me that they're like, well, this is how we did it. And I'm like, I know. The issue is that you did it, not how you did it. It's the fact that you did it.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was to simply create a fun whirlpool shape. Well, you failed. And then you published it. Like, it's absolutely, absolutely unhinged. And just so everyone knows, like Melissa said, this is not the first time they've done this. Enough that there's a literal tweet from 2017 from the New York Times Games saying, yes, hi, it's not a swastika, honest to God. No one sits down to make a crossword puzzle and says, hey, you know what would look cool? First of all, I really don't like how blasé that response is from an official account. And it's even more embarrassing when that was in 2017. And here we are in 2022. And the same editor, this has not been his first offensive thing. In 2019, New York Times had to issue an apology after he chose to use the racial slur. It's a slur for a person, a Mexican or a person of Mexican descent. That was a word used in the crossword puzzle. And the clue to that was pitch to the head informally. I think it's a baseball thing as well. But there are a lot of things that the predominant definition has changed to be slur, bigoted, and we as a society have thus removed the other definition. It has gone, we've changed what that is. Like, I didn't know, if I heard that term, all I know is the offensive one. I don't know the other one. That is the one that is colloquially most common because we have dialed back the use of it in other ways because the offensive use is so horrific that no one wants that to be a mix up. And there's no need for that to be like, oh, I'm sorry you're offended. I didn't mean that. I meant something else. It's like, let's just come up with a different fucking word then. And he admitted that he saw the derogatory definition when he researched the word, but claimed he had never personally heard it and explained that as long as a word also has a quote unquote benign meaning, it meets his editorial standards for publication. He defended the use of the word and noted that he published and stands by the benign meanings of the terms. Another one, which is a racist term for specifically targeted to people of Chinese descent, but is now also become to anyone who is Asian, as well as another term that I literally have never heard of, but we're going to look.
It's Asian as well. And there's an Italian one too.
Okay. Yeah. And the other ones, and that he stands by his choice to do all of these.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm just saying that looking at all of these words, I could not, unless I go on to dictionary.com, tell you what the definition that is not racist is. I couldn't tell you the benign definition.
Yeah.
And
Bullshit.
I'm going to bet this man in his big old age has heard the offensive definitions more and knew those first. And this feels like intentional, that it's like, how can I put a slur in here? And then be like, oh, no. Like, there's no fucking way that you know all of these words with this meaning that is this benign meaning that nobody uses anymore. You know that, but you don't know that they're also used as slurs.
Yeah.
Huh? Oh, and then so in his response to the slur, neither Joel, who I guess is also on the team, nor I had ever heard the slur before, and I don't know anyone who would use it. Maybe we live in rarefied circles.
I just don't believe that. I do not believe people that grew up with All in the Family on TV, that was a show that called out these things, didn't know what it was. I just don't believe that.
No. And also, like, if you had never heard that they were slurs before, the initial time that you Google and you see that those words also mean that, you would be like, oh my gosh, no, I would never do that. Because right now you're saying that, like, oh, it's no big deal. No, you think the slurs are no big deal. So you've heard them before. So that's why you think they're no big deal. If it's something you don't know, you're not going to just be like, fuck it. I don't give a shit about it. Like, I'm sure it's fine. No. You're confident in your decision making because you made the decision knowing it. Like,
right.
Okay. So, very rare, very, very rare do I agree with Meghan McCain on things. And I personally am someone, well, because she was tweeting about this, and lots of places are tweeting about this is fucked up because let's be real, the right really fucking hates the New York Times and is like wants to cancel them. And I don't like being on the same side. Exactly. I don't like being on the same side as some Republicans. I don't like looking. Melissa, I accidentally clicked on Fox News at first. They were reporting this and I was like, oh, no, go back. But I was like, here's the thing. A broken clock could be right twice a day. And at this moment, I'm not trying to cancel New York Times. I'm not saying fuck the New York Times. They're a fraudulent. They're not reporting facts. They're lying. No. I'm just saying that you've got a racism issue in the crossword puzzle department. And I think you need to redo that from the top down.
Yeah. There was a woman that quit back in 2020 because she felt like she was just the token female perspective.
It's just embarrassing at this point where it's like, oh, like everyone thought it was fine. And I'm like, okay, I would like to see your holiday company Christmas card. Like, show me just for science. Let me see all of these people who thought it was fine, because either you all look exactly the same and that's the issue, or you really are actually actively harming your coworkers and not creating an environment where they feel comfortable telling you that. So fucked. It's fucked.
All these people suck.
Like, people were working overtime on just like sucking. Like, come on, it's the holidays. Like, take some time day off. Like, chill, watch a fucking movie, drink some hot chocolate. Like, why? Like, oh my god, you're doing like summer trifling activities in the dead of winter. Aren't you cold? Aren't you tired? Hibernate. Truly. But don't hibernate too much, because then we're not going to have anyone to talk about in this segment. Well, that is it for the episode, right?
That's it.
Well, we hope you all enjoyed. Leave a review on the podcast app if you feel that the burning in your loins. You know, you could share what your who your Rachel of the week is on the podcast app. Like, you can share it in your review. You could also do that on our Instagram comments. Share with us any and all of the above. We have the Fisting Friday episode that comes out tomorrow with the results from last week's episode. This episode is out on Thursday. And, you know, it's the holidays, so we have a little bit, we are doing the mini hibernation. Like, we're doing we're a little more lax with our timeline. So the votes will either go up on Friday, aka tomorrow, if you're listening to this the day that it was uploaded, or sometime before Monday. And they were up for 24 hours. You can check the stories and then also just go to the highlights. And there's instructions on how to vote and vote. And we are looking forward to seeing how you all feel about this.
Very much so. I feel like I've been out the loop for like a month.
I know. I feel like doing what's going on, everybody? Yeah. How are we doing? Okay.
We'll circle back.
Goodbye.
Bye.
But Am I Wrong is a production by me, Megan Rinks.
And me, Melissa DeMonts, plus Diamond Imprint Productions.
Post-production by Coco Lorenz.
And production assistance by Melanie D. Watson.
Hey, are you ready for some real talk and some fantastic laughs? Join me, Meghan Rinks.
And me, Melisa DeWants, for Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong?
We're serving up 4 hilarious shows every week designed to entertain and engage and, possibly enrage you.
In Don't Blame Me, we dive deep into listeners' questions, offering advice that's funny, relatable, and real.
Whether you're dealing with relationship drama or you just need a friend's perspective, we've got you.
Then switch gears with But Am I Wrong, which is for listeners who didn't take our advice and want to know if they are the villains in the situation.
Plus, we share our hot takes on current events and present situations that we might even be wrong in our lives. Spoiler alert, we are actually quite literally never wrong.
But wait, there's more. Check out See You Next Tuesday, where we reveal the juicy results from our listener polls from But Am I Wrong?
And don't miss Fisting Friday, where we catch up, chat about pop culture, TV, and movies. It's the perfect way to kick off your weekend.
So if you're looking for a podcast that feels like a chat with your besties, listen to Don't Blame Me, But Am I Wrong on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. New episodes every Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, and Friday.
Contained herein are the heresies of Radolf Buntwine, erstwhile monk turned traveling medical investigator. Join me as I study the secrets of the divine plagues and uncover the blasphemous truth that ours is not a loving God, and we are not its favored children. The heresies of Radolf Buntwine, wherever podcasts are available.